The French island of Guadeloupe in the Caribbean. A general strike is now in its second week. This after weeks of tensions there over coronavirus restrictions, particularly compulsory vaccinations for healthcare workers. It is an issue the Interior Minister has been speaking about today here in Paris. Take a listen.
La situation est toujours très difficile puisque le travail des forces de l'ordre, c'est pas non plus de rajouter et de participer à cette violence, c'est de le faire dans des façons, dans une nuit très difficile, le rétablissement de l'ordre public. Ce qui est certain, c'est que le rétablissement de l'ordre public est le préalable à toute discussion, évidemment.
Well, worth saying as well that unrest does appear to be spreading now to the Caribbean island of Martinique as well. Today, there are reports that the police there faced gunfire from protesters who've also been protesting the COVID protocols there. Let's discuss all of this. Our French politics editor, Marc Perelman, is with me. And Marc, how is the French government responding to what we're seeing in the overseas territories?
Well, clearly the government is hesitating. It is sending more police, more military on the ground to try to control the situation in Guadeloupe. And we'll have to see and watch carefully what's happening in neighboring Martinique, as you just pointed out. However, what they have not done until now, despite criticism from the opposition, is to send the minister who's in charge of overseas territory, who's been in Paris, justifying the fact that he's not going there because he said it would essentially maybe fan the flames, and we need to quietly work the phones and make sure everything comes under control. The problem is that it's about COVID, but it's about many other things. There have been previous waves of unrest in those territories, especially back in 2009, where there was 44 days, if I remember correctly, of general strike protests against the cost of living. And you have many, many other social, economic issues in Guadeloupe and Martinique, and they're surfacing right now. So it could be a big challenge for the government, because one thing is to tackle the vaccination problem. They've tried to do this. If it becomes a wider issue, obviously it's much more difficult to solve.
And a big issue as well, particularly because obviously we have elections coming up, and the government will be hoping to win some votes in the overseas areas too.
Yes, absolutely. And it wants to avoid a crisis, and especially a tragic crisis, because if there are protests, if there are gunfires, it means there is a risk of people being injured or worse, being killed. And you don't want to see that happening just a few months before the election. Whatever the demonstrators might try to do, or if there's criminal gangs involved and so on, a government has to make sure everything is quiet. The situation is already very tense with the sanitary crisis. We've seen the yellow vest. They don't need something, even if it's far away. It's still France, it's still important, and it could certainly become very, very political, as we're just 4.5 months away from the election.
Marc Perelman, thank you very much indeed. We'll have more for you when we get it from the situation in Guadeloupe and that developing news out of Martinique as well.